Riot Retro Gaming. Check out their channel. So one of the reasons I offered to do this repair is I was on their channel recently, as they interviewed me, and they couldn't shut me up. I didn't really give them much chance to say anything. Actually, it's like when I watch that video back now, I think, oh, I should have kept my mouth shut. You couldn't shut me up. One of the reasons for that is because of my chronic fatigue. I'm often, I'm very isolated. I seldom get out. It's the condition makes it really difficult. So you couldn't shut me up. So yeah, thank you Gadget for the support and comments from your viewers. We cannot thank you enough. The least I can do is this. He says, you have the C64 that I never started to diagnose, the cased one. Now, it's really nice actually, the cased one, I'll show you, but to be honest, I'd rather send these both fixed back to these guys. They can always keep it as a spare or sell it. Because I've just got so many C64s. Beeps was kind enough to let me keep one of the C64 boards I looked at for him. And then I've picked up 3 or 4 or 5 and I fixed them off camera. I've got like literally 5 or 6 C64 boards, a couple of VIX-20 boards, and then working systems. And I've got like 5 or 4 or 5 C64s working, complete, box, no issues with them. So I really don't need another bread bin, but I do appreciate it because it's got a good SID as well. I was thinking that I could keep the board, keep the SID or something, but I'd rather these guys had it. It's always useful to have a spare system, and I would suggest, I wouldn't sell it, I'd keep it, because the value of this, you might get 50 or 60 quid for it, but to be fair, it'll cost you 25-30 quid for a SID, and it is a really nice condition actually, apart from a couple of things that I'll show you in a minute with the keyboard. I'm going to deal with that first, I think. Yeah, so the C64 PCB on its own is the one you offered to look at for me, so we'll have a look at that in a sec. Thank you and keep up the good work. And BigNutz and the horse. Yeah, no worries guys. Fantastic channel, like I say, check them out. This is an action replay card, I think, for a C64. I think this belongs to Big Balls. A friend of Anthony actually, over at Riot Retro Gaming. The guys who did my interview there recently. Great guys, you should check out their channel. Now the first thing I noticed with these switches, look, they're just really flaky. That one's not so bad. This one, I think the contacts have broken off, so that button's not going to be working. That's going to be part of the problem. In the first instance, I'm going to desolder these. I've got some replacement push switches anyway, and we'll try it without the switches, just in case, because I did measure and I think there's a bit of resistance over there, so it might be a case of these are held down while it's on. It could be that simple. The other thing you'll note here, it's got an EEPROM. It's 27C256, I think, and it's not protected the window there, so it could have lost a few bits and bytes and things over the years. Even though it's in a red shell like that, light will pass through that. It does happen, and even without light, these things can just lose bits and bytes over decades and things. It does happen. So beyond that, you've got a RAM on here, an SRAM. Is that 6264 home die? So that could be faulty, but I don't think that would cause the card not to boot. I think you'd boot from here. This is only going to be used when you do the interrupts and go into the action replay side of things. And then there's a custom chip here, which I'm not sure what that is. You can see that it's a Motorola chip. I might look up the part number on that in a minute. I'm not sure if it's a programmable chip or something along those lines, like a PAL or a GAL or something, or whether it's a specific type of chip. I'm not sure. It's not an MCU or anything. There's no. Well, it could be, I guess, if it's taking the clock from the edge here. Maybe. I was going to say I don't see any clock components and things on here, so it's unlikely. It's more likely to be some sort of logic, containing some logic there to do the address decoding, possibly. So yeah, I'll get these switches off. I think then I'll show you what it's doing. Yeah, that one in particular. Can you see that? Yeah, that's not right. It should be wobbling like that. That one isn't, and it's not the solder points. It's actually something internal to the switch itself. Yeah, so I got it connected to the back of this the other C64 from Ant here. As you can see, if I switch it on and I'll put on the screen, you'll see we just get a black screen. Off, on. Yeah, just a black screen, nothing. So I think what we'll do is I'll take off that ROM chip next. The nice thing is it's socketed. Stick it into the EEPROM programmer, dump it, and see what it what it comes back like. I'll perhaps do compare it actually to some of the action replay ROMs that are out there, just to see if I can see any differences. So to get the ROM out, you could use a dip extractor, but to be honest, I find that dip extractors don't work very well actually. You end up bending the pins using a dip extractor. So I got the chip out there, just using a screwdriver just to leave it on one side then the other. As you can see, it's got quite short legs. It's really weird, they've trimmed the legs off on that at some point. I mean, it may be because someone's took that off to fix this in the past, I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't ship the socket, I don't know, that's strange. But it doesn't need the legs that short, but it does look like maybe someone's took it off. So maybe there's nothing wrong with the ROM. Could be barking up the wrong tree here. Anyway, we'll go away now and connect this up to the EEPROM programmer and just see what's on it. So I've got various EEPROM programmers here, but this one's the easy one to use actually, just because there's no separate power supply. And for small 8-bit ROMs and things like this thing's perfectly fine. A Genius G540, and they're dirt cheap, like 20 quidish or something. So you can see pin 1 goes up there, you know, so it goes aligned with the bottom of the slot there with pin 1 towards the top. You know, you just pull the lever there to hold it in place. Sorry, the camera's wobbling. In the software here, we then do select, choose ST, 270-256, OK. It shows you the chip there and the placement there as well. So then we hit read, let it read the ROM, and once it's finished, there we go, we can see the ROM. Now I'll save that out to a bin file. And then what I've done here is load that bin file into hex editor and just scroll down a little bit. And as you can see, we can see that Action Replay V5. So that's what I was looking for, because I wanted some sort of clue as to what version of Action Replay this was. So now what I can do is go away and find an official dump that someone's done, a known working dump for an Action Replay 5 for the C64, and just do a binary compare on them in the hex editor here. So the bad news here is I went away and found the Action Replay ROMs and I compared to version 5, and straight away it showed the 1A as a difference there. So I went away and found the 5.1A, and then it said both files match identically. So there's nothing wrong with the ROM. The ROM is not the problem with this Action Replay. So I mean, it could be the RAM. I think it's unlikely. I think it's going to be that little CPLD or whatever that's on there, that Gallo PAL. I'll look up the part number now just out of interest to see what it is. So I mean, you know, I've inspected the solder points there. You can tell someone's been fiddling with this before. I suspect someone's bought this, took the chip off, put Action Replay 5 on it because it wasn't working, tried it, and it's, you know, that's not fixed it. Just realised I've got some solder up there actually. I need to get just realised I've got a bit of solder there actually, that needs to come off. So what are the next steps with this? Well, I don't think the RAM would cause the fault. I think if there is a fault with this, it's going to be this chip here. But just on the off chance, you know, if I'll inspect the board, can you see down here it says Datel AR4, which suggests to me this is an Action Replay 4. Someone's put the 5.1 ROM on there, perhaps. It may well have been a functioning Action Replay 4, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a broken Action Replay 4. Someone stuck the Action Replay 5 ROM on, assuming it's 5, and maybe there's an incompatibility there. But I did read on the wiki, and it says that the Action Replay 5 onwards can you know, had this chip here instead of TTL. So I don't know. It's, you know, it's a punt. We've got the original ROM anyway, and the original ROM is the one that's in the public domain. You know, 5.1A. We know the ROM's okay. So so I think what I'll do next is get that in the eraser, and we'll program version Action Replay 4 and just give it a try. We've got nothing to lose. It's bin fodder otherwise. So a few things. That I was going to put an Action Replay 4 ROM on there, and then I did a bit of research, and you know, the 5 introduced the RAM. This came with version 5. So the other thing I thought, okay, well, let's not put 4 on, let's put the bootleg version of 5 in case this is a bootleg, because there's no, you know, there's no markings or anything on the shell here. It could be a fake. So I'll put the alternative one on there, the bootleg. Still the same. At that point I thought, well, it's game over, there's nothing I can do with this. Well, let's just clean off the flux. And I've cleaned off the flux, I plugged it in, and it works. So it's hard to believe the flux seemed to have caused the problem. Now it was difficult. I was trying to get it to trigger the Action Replay. I managed to do it once, but both of these switches are knackered. I'll show you that on the meter in a minute. So I've got some replacement ones in my toolbox here. I'll test these, and I'll put 2 new replacement switches on this, you know, clean up these solder points here, and I'll show you, hopefully it's still working. Yes, I'll show you. If we put the meter continuity, yeah, One on that side, one on that side. Hold them on, press the button. Nothing, nada. And it doesn't matter how you know, the connections on the probes there, just nothing. And it's the same on this one. Now this one I can understand because the pins are flaky, they're like wobbling, like it's detached inside. So yeah, you know, years of use, those are faulty, but I do have a couple of replacements here. One's got a bit of a brighter red, but at least that'll give a bit of clarity there as to which one's the reset. Well, this is very interesting. You'll remember a minute ago I said it was working for a sec, and then I replaced the buttons. I do need to clean up because there's still a bit of flux and stuff on there. I need to clean up some of the solder points and stuff. But in this bread bin, when you press the that button there to invoke the replay, it doesn't do anything. You just get some garbage and then it resets. Now the reset button works, and I tried everything. I just couldn't get it to work on this one again. Now something was niggling in the back of my mind, remembering about the PLA, thinking actually we could have a second issue with this one. The PLA could be playing up here. That might be why the cart's not working. So I've tried it in this. This is the one you saw me fix a while back. Actually, it was the one with the socketed PLA there because there was some damage under the PLA. It's a 64E. This one, the one without the SRAM. The SRAM's embedded within there. And if I switch this on and point you with the screen, you will see straight away now it's coming up with action replay. No worries. Now I put the official version 5. ROM back on there, so I think that's working. That's fine. If I press reset, you need to use the keyboard. Obviously I've not got a keyboard connected to this at the moment, but I'm guessing that's working fine. Just the fact that we can get in the menu there and the reset works and the action replay button toggles between the two different modes there. You know, if I reset it, it goes to the menu. If I press the replay button, it goes into the, you know, the debug side of things there. I think that's working. I think that action replay cart's fixed. So I'll clean it all up and reassemble it. I'll show you the board after I've cleaned it up. The question is now, what's wrong with the other one in terms of why is the car not working? Well, this is interesting. Full of weird and wonderful problems, these systems. If I point you with the screen, I'm not convinced it is the PLA. It could be the PLA. And if I press a key, you can see it changes the colour there. And now we do have a key stuck down. Is that the problem? It could be, and that might be why action replay is not working. Because one of the things I haven't done on this is deal with this key here. That could be giving us, you know, causing a red herring here. It's easy to, yeah, I think that's it. So I'll unscrew the lid. Well, yeah, pain in the backside. I'll unscrew the lid and we'll disconnect the keyboard and just see what difference that makes. It's amazing. I went around for about 20 minutes messing around with that, round and round and round in circles, going, oh my god, what's going on here? Why was it working one minute and then not the next? So yeah, the keyboard was the issue in this instance, but you know, you could have a CIA fault. If you've got a problem with a cart like this and it's, you know, it's behaving the same way mine was, just skipping past, and obviously your keys wouldn't be working as well, that would be the clue. It's your CIA. Don't for a minute assume it's going to be the cart. But this cart was black screening when I first got it, and I'm guessing, I'll speak to Anthony later, I'm guessing that's what it was doing for him, just nothing at all. Whereas now, it seems to be working fine. So I'll clean up the shell next because it's very dirty. You can see the PCB is super clean now on both sides. Solder points looking good there, I've reflowed all of those. The PLCC chip there's had a reflow as well. New switches. They were old stock though, so I had to clean those switches up actually, just get a bit of contact cleaner in them. But I will clean up the shell next and get a label on it. I've done a slight customisation to this actually, and I will just show you, see if you can spot the difference. Yeah, see if you can spot the difference. So yeah, quite surprising actually, because it wasn't the switches. You know, the switches had faults. You know, you pressed them down and they weren't registering as a, you know, a press at all. It's not like they were shorted or anything like that, but it was black screening. You know, this was given a black screen. Now the ROM, you know, one of the first things I did is just take it out, put it back in. No issues there. Still a black screen. Resoldered around the ROM. Still a black screen. Now there was a lot of flux all around the ROM and the RAM, the SRAM I think it is, to start with, and that flux was, at that point was still there. The flux was still on the board. I reflowed the SRAM, black screen, inspected around the little PLCC chip. Solder points looked absolutely perfect. So, you know, at that point I was convinced there was something wrong with the ROM. and we took the ROM off, we dumped it, it was exactly the same. There was no problems at all. I even reflashed it with the same ROM, and it was the same. It was only really when I cleaned the flux off. I spent some time with IPA and a toothbrush there, just cleaning off around both those chips. At that point, that was when it came back to life. But then I had a problem with the key held down. So whilst it was not black screening anymore, you could, when you pressed the button there, you could see some garbage, a line of garbage come up at the top, and then it would reset. So that something was working, but it wasn't coming up with the action replay menu there. And that was just the key being held down. But at that point, I reflowed around the little PLCC chip, and obviously it was still the same. I then found out, we had the keyboard issue. That's why I was skipping past the action replay, and at that point it was actually working fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So, the point it started working was actually after cleaning off all that original flux. The reflow made no difference at all to any of the 3 chips. And the thing I'm skipping here as well, the very first thing you did is clean the card edge, because that's the thing you'd expect, So yeah, very interesting. Hopefully you found that interesting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.